I went ahead and put my GM hat on in an attempt to put together the best draft possible for your Minnesota Vikings. Several needs to address, and only 4 picks, along with an added projected compensatory pick, 177 to start. For this, I used the NFL mock draft database simulator, and trading down, accumulating more draft capital was a priority for me, as it should be for the Vikings on draft weekend. And I went to work on these deals, man, so we're going to bring it up on the screen here. From pick 23, I wanted to get a later first-round pick while also getting a second-round pick. So traded down one spot with Jacksonville for 24, 127, and 202. And used the entire Jacksonville return to then trade down with Philly for 30 and 62. So stay in the first round and get into the second round, check. Plus already got a pick in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, 87, 119, and 160. So from there, it's all about adding more picks. Trading down one spot from 62 to 63, netted 2 6th-round picks and a 7th. And lastly, with the compensatory pick 177, traded down 5 spots to 182 and gained an additional 6th-round pick and 2 7ths, one of them for 2024. All in all, started with 5 picks and ended up drafting 11 players without sacrificing any future picks. And now we get to the players. At pick 30, none of the top receivers were available, as expected, so going defense was a no-brainer here. At pick 30, I took Trenton Simpson, linebacker out of Clemson. It's a passing league, and he's an excellent pass defender, explosive player. I love how he runs through blocks in space. He, along with Brian Asamoah, I think will be a nice 1-2 punch at inside linebacker. At pick 63, I took Derek Hall, edge rusher out of Auburn. He can play the left or the right side, so he's versatile, which is exactly what defensive coordinator Brian Flores wants in his players. This dude is strong. All he needed to do at the college level, Derek Hall, was get his hands on the offensive tackle's shoulder pads and drive back. Very impressive. I'd like to see him add hand chops, maybe a spin move or a swim underneath to his game, just because I don't know if you can rely on a strength battle at the pro level, but I think coaching can remedy that. At 87, I was going to go Hendon Hooker, but he wasn't available. He was gone. So I said, you know what? We already addressed linebacker and edge rusher. Let's go ahead and look at the center position. And JMS, you know, he's going to be gone at pick 87. Is Joe Tippmann available out of Wisconsin? He was. So I took Joe Tippmann, and this will be your starting center next season. No question. At pick 119 in the 4th round, J.L. Skinner, safety out of Boise State. I think Harrison Smith will be a post-June 1st cut along with Adam Thielen, and I would not experiment with Cam Bynum again at safety, although I wouldn't mind if he were to compete for the nickel corner position. But that leaves you with Lewis Seen, assuming that he's going to start next year. He was your 2022 first-round pick. Damn it, he better start. But you still need a starter alongside him. Skinner last year, 65 tackles, 4 interceptions, 5 pass deflections. He's an enforcer, just puts on the hit stick with his tackles. Reminds me of Bears safety Jaquan Brisker, a heat-seeking missile. He's nice, I'm telling you right now. At pick 160, I talked about him before, quarterback Jaron Hall out of BYU. I still like him as a project quarterback. I just like Hendon Hooker a lot more, and he probably could have gone earlier in the draft, except that Senior Bowl didn't look so hot. I think it hurt his draft stock, but I say watch his film on his games at BYU. He can really open up the playbook with the RPOs. At 160, you literally have nothing to lose here. Either it works out, or if it doesn't, by next year, go quarterback again. I don't care if you have to do it every year until you hit on that position. At 182, I went back to defense, Tyler Lacey, defensive lineman out of Oklahoma State. 191, another edge rusher, KJ Henry, teammates with Trenton Simpson out of Clemson. 197, cornerback Kytrell Clark out of Louisville. It doesn't hurt to add depth, especially if you don't end up re-signing Duke Shelley, which you absolutely should. 219, you got your 3rd running back, Keaton Mitchell out of East Carolina. 227, Jaden Hasselwood, wide receiver out of Arkansas. So wasn't able to get those earlier receivers, but in this case, I would go wide receiver in free agency. And finally, at 252, interior offensive line Jake Andrews from Troy, because why not? There you have it, my mock draft for this offseason. React with your thoughts in the comment section below. And speaking of comments, Tyler804 says, How would you feel about trading Ezra Cleveland to a left tackle needy team like the Bengals or Titans? Move down from 23 to 28 and grab pick 60. At 28, we should have our pick of a cornerback or edge. At 60, I believe we can address corner or center. What are your thoughts? As far as trading Ezra Cleveland, I don't think the Vikings are in a position to do that. And trust me, I'm done with this guy. However, considering that Ed Ingram is your right guard, unless you bring in competition for him, I think you're better off keeping Ezra Cleveland, just because even if you were to trade Cleveland, the other teams in the league, they know that he played interior offensive line. And okay, yeah, he played left tackle out of Boise State. But okay, this is going to be a project. Can he play left tackle at the next level despite playing interior offensive line for the last 3 years? I don't know if they're going to give a premium pick for that. I think if anything, you might get a 4th round pick at best. So I think the Vikings are better off keeping Ezra Cleveland, because if he goes, then what do you do at left guard? You're creating another need for this team in this offseason that only has a few picks to work with before the draft even starts. Furthermore, as far the idea of drafting a corner early on, it just doesn't sit well with me, because I just don't like the idea of punting on a Caleb Evans and Andrew Booth Jr. after just 1 year. You got to give them a shot. Cornerback later on in the draft, sure, go for it. T-Bass2323 says, I understand being most Vikings fans are from Minnesota, but ask yourself a question. If the center from Minnesota went to school somewhere else, like let's say Auburn, would you even care about this guy? My answer to that is, I'm not from Minnesota. I don't give a damn. John Michael Schmitz can play. And furthermore, it reminds me, the only other time I talked about a player from Minnesota, I did an interview with 10K Takes a couple of years ago. They do a really good job producing content. But I talked about Antoine Winfield Jr. and I said, yo, this dude can play. He's ready to start on a team right now, his rookie year. And I was right. He's a damn good player. So no, it's not about him playing for the Gophers. John Michael Schmitz, if the Vikings can land him, wow, I would be ecstatic. Whether he played for the Gophers or Auburn or Troy or UTEP or Prince George's Community College, I don't care. GMax72 says, if they feel good about a wide receiver at their spot in the first, they should just draft him and not get cute. I hope Kwesi learned his lesson from last draft. Just get some good football players, man. Amen. Now, to your first point, as far as if a receiver that they like, if he's available at 23, don't get cute. Just go ahead and take him. If it's a guy like Jalen Hyatt, okay, fine. I understand it. The only thing that I'm just hesitant on with that is you still need to find a way to get in the second round. It's going to be a lot harder versus if you were to trade down from 23. But that said, I swear if they do it, I won't bitch and moan. I understand. To your second point, as far as I hope that Kwesi learned from last year's draft, I'm in full agreement with you on that, because I thought it was a disaster. I give him an F on that. Nothing on the players. Nothing to do with the players. I have nothing against the players. It's just the way he went about doing it. The trade value in return, it was so terrible. That said, I think it almost balances itself out as far as the signing of Duke Shelley and the trade for TJ Hawkinson. That was huge. That said, you need to nail it in this draft. You only have, along with the projected compensatory pick of 177, you only have 5 picks. With the amount of holes that you have on this team, you need to get to at least 8 draft picks to feel good about yourself. Go ahead and do it. Get some good football players. Like you said, GMax72, don't screw this up. He needs to get it on this draft.